Yo, what's good, YouTube? So today I'm going to be talking about the importance of boxing in mixed martial arts. So we are fresh off of UFC 298, where Ilia Topuria became the new featherweight champion of the world by knocking out Alexander Volkanovski. Now, I'm fairly new to learning about Ilia Topuria. Within the past like 2 weeks, I've been watching his fights and his training nonstop. With me being a boxer, I became immediately interested in his style of fighting because he primarily uses a lot of boxing in his fights. Now, yes, he has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, so we know that he can get submissions as well. We know that he can wrestle. His background is in Greco Roman wrestling, which is what he was doing prior to him moving to Spain. So, this guy is the complete fighter. He's like the next evolution in the UFC, I believe. And I did pick Volk to win the fight, and I lost a lot of money. I put a very small bet to hedge it by betting on Topuria to knock him out because I'm like, if Topuria wins, it's going to have to be by knockout. But it wasn't enough to offset what I lost betting on Volkanovski. Now, with that being said, a lot of times from mixed martial arts guys, boxing gets a bad rep. One, because maybe they probably don't know how to box or they've never been in there with a boxer. But there are many advantages to being able to box. So we have the head movement of Ilia Topuria. His head movement is amazing. Granted, in that fight with Alexander Volkanovski, he was getting touched up by that jab, but what we saw from Volkanovski is anytime he retreated or wanted to create distance between them, he was leaving out with his chin up, which is a big no-no if you are familiar with boxing. Alex Saporia, even though he was getting touched with the jab, it's going to be very hard for a jab to knock you out unless it's just a jab from like Artur Beterbiev or something like that. Now, when Ilia Topuria would retreat or create distance. Notice chin is down, elbows are tight. So he has that boxing style. Granted, he was able to implement leg kicks. There wasn't any grappling in this fight. But the way the fight went, I'm starting to think like there was no grappling because maybe Alexander Volkanovski was scared of getting caught by getting in there too close with Ilia Topuria. I mean, Volkanovski was just his cardio looked good. He was able to move around a lot, but he was on his back foot the majority of the fight. And then Taporia staying calm, staying composed, constant head movement, so he's not getting hit with any big shots. As I mentioned earlier, yeah, he did get caught with the jab, but other than that, he wasn't catching big shots because he has the constant head movement. And then he likes to throw that five to the body and come back over the top with the two. So if you're a guy like Alexander Volkanovski and your chin is up, it's only a matter of time before you get caught and then your lights get completely shut out, which is what we saw in that fight. So you all know that I cover a lot of boxing on my channel. In order for me to learn about boxing, you all saw me show myself train for a fight, train for two fights in which I won both of them. What I'm learning more and more is that it's good to be a complete fighter overall, but also I do believe there are some martial arts that are better than other ones. I think boxing is top three. I would have like boxing, wrestling. I'm not sure what I would have at number three. I would have to try some more, which I do plan on doing. But from just a striking standpoint, yeah, they say all fights start off standing. Most fights end up on the ground. Well, this fight did not end up on the ground, and I think that was a big mistake by Alexander Volkanovski by at least not attempting to try to take Topuria down. Now, just from a boxing standpoint, if somebody's going to stand on their feet with you and you can box, you are going to beat them. You're probably going to knock them out because from boxing, we learn the distance, and we learn the head movement. So it's not just out there recklessly punching. Granted, Ilia Topuria does have a lot of power, but there is a method to his madness. He's changing levels. He's working head, working body, back up to the head. So with him changing those levels, you don't know, okay, am I blocking up top or am I blocking down low? So he just put the UFC on notice. And guys out there, if you are in mixed martial arts, you need to be working on your boxing. Now, I spar boxers and I've sparred MMA people. Now, the thing that a lot of MMA people have is they're tough as nails, extremely tough, but they come over to boxing so that way they can learn the head movement, because why take an unnecessary shot if you can avoid taking the shot? Like, we know Alexander Volkanovski is one of the GOATs at featherweight. We know he's tough as nails, but all it takes is one shot from a powerful guy to put your lights out. And that is what we saw. So I encourage everybody to work on boxing. It doesn't have to be every day, it doesn't have to surpass your other martial arts training. But we are seeing the evolution in the fight game, and seeing how if you have a strong boxing background, as well as your grappling and your wrestling, you are a complete fighter. Now, I do not see anybody at featherweight even coming close to beating Ilia Topuria right now. And that is due to his boxing ability. Now, granted, guys are going to eventually try to get him to the ground, but he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. But in order for them to work on getting him to the ground, they have to come in and commit to getting hit by him. You're not just going to come in and just grab him clean. He's moving his head, he's using angles. And once he uses those angles, he's able to generate shots off of the angles. One thing he likes to throw is that 6-3-2, and then he's moving. So he's also not staying in one place. So boxing is a lot more than just throwing punches. It's head movement, it's controlling the distance, it's footwork. So we have a new sheriff in town. Ilia Topuria just put the UFC and the mixed martial arts world on notice, and he showed you why it is important to implement boxing into your training as well as everything else. Hopefully this brings more popularity to the sport of boxing. I know right now it's up in the air because we aren't getting the fights that we want to see. But hey, at least I can watch UFC now and see somebody with excellent boxing ability. All right, hope you all like the video. Please comment below. Let me know what you all think of Ilia Topuria's boxing ability, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.